What's going on, guys? It's Meshify back with another video. I'm assuming you clicked on this video because you're trying to create the best budget PC possible, and if that's the case, you came to the right place. But before we get into it, you should definitely consider clicking that small red rectangle that says subscribe in it. But if you're too lazy to do that, you could try hitting that thumbs up button instead. I mean, you don't have to do that either, but it's highly suggested that you do so. Anyways, let's get on with the video. Now, a couple of days ago, I posted a video about what I thought was the best budget gaming and video editing PC, but after getting some feedback, I realized two things. One, the PC wasn't really a budget PC. The total cost ended up being around $1,400, which to be honest, is kind of expensive. And two, the Intel CPU that I chose was too expensive. Now don't get me wrong, the Intel Core i7-9700K is a great CPU, but its price combined with its compatible motherboard was just too much, and it left me with less money to spend on the other parts, which ultimately resulted in me creating a very unbalanced system. So, with all of that being said, I have created a new system that only costs $1,000 that might actually be the best budget gaming PC on the market right now. The first piece in this system, coming in at a very cheap price of $167, is the AMD Ryzen 5 3600. Now you might be thinking, that's a really cheap price for a CPU. Are you sure it's good enough? Well, the answer is yes and yes. This CPU is so good for its price, it's known as the sweet spot CPU. It is a 6-core, 12-thread CPU that clocks between 3.6 GHz and 4.2 GHz. It also has a 32MB L3 cache and a 65W TDP. And if that isn't good enough for you, it even comes with a Wraith stealth cooler included in the package, what makes this CPU an even better budget option. When this CPU was compared to other similar CPUs from Intel and AMD, it outperformed nearly all of them. It performed 4% faster than the Intel Core i7-8700K, 20% faster than the Ryzen 5 2600X, and 45% faster than the Ryzen 5 1600. So let's just say that it's a pretty fast CPU. Moving on to the motherboard, we have the MSI B450 Tomahawk Max, which comes in at a very affordable price of $115. As long as you're not looking for a motherboard that has fancy lighting and good looks, this one is perfect for you. It comes with 4+2 power phases that deliver the most efficient power to the processor, which allows for some pretty easy overclocking. It also has 4 DDR4 RAM slots, a processor socket, some SATA 3 ports, an M.2 slot, and 6 USB ports. Overall, this is a pretty standard motherboard. It isn't anything special because it is only $115, but it is a good solution for a budget PC because it allows for future upgrades, and it seems to be the best choice for its price category. The graphics card that I have chosen is the EVGA GeForce GTX 1660 XC, and it is valued at around $230. Choosing a graphics card is really difficult because it really depends on what you're going to be using your PC for, but this graphics card offers a boost clock of 1785 MHz, has 1408 CUDA cores, and has an effective memory clock of 8000 MHz. It also has a memory size of 6 GB, an HDMI port, the display port, and is virtual reality ready. But, like I mentioned before, your graphics card should be chosen for what you are intending to use your PC for, which is why I recommend that you should do some extra research before you decide to buy one. For our memory, we have 16 GB of Corsair Vengeance DDR4 RAM. It costs around $76, and the model that I chose runs at a speed of 3200 MHz, but if you can, I'd recommend upgrading it to a faster speed. But to be honest, as long as your RAM comes from a trusted brand, is at least 16 GB, and runs at least 3000 MHz, it should be fine. Moving on to the power supply, we have the Corsair TXM 550 watt power supply. This comes in at a price of $100 and is 80+ gold certified. It is important to spend a chunk of your money on a good power supply because it could quite literally fry your whole system if something goes wrong. But if the rating is at least 80+ gold, you should be fine. However, I would recommend thinking about upgrading the power supply in the future just to be safe. For our system storage, I have chosen the Crucial MX500 solid-state drive, or SSD. The model that I would recommend is the 1TB version, which is valued at $115. This is the most well-known and commonly bought brand of SSDs, so if you decide not to get the 1TB version, you should still stick with this brand. The other part in this system storage is the Seagate BarraCuda 1TB hard drive, or HDD, and it is valued at about $45. Like the SSD, this is the most commonly bought brand of hard drives, so I would recommend sticking with it if you decide to go with a different sized model. The final piece of this build is of course the case, and the one that I have chosen is the Fractal design Meshify C, which costs around $90. Like the motherboard, this case isn't exactly flashy and doesn't have any RGB lighting, which is the reason why the price is so low. However, this case is known to be amazing with airflow. Actually, it is probably one of the best cases you can get if your main focus is on airflow. But when it comes down to it, the case you get is really just based on personal preference. So if you want a case with the best performance, I'd recommend this one, but if you would prefer to have good looks, you should probably look into buying a different one. The total price for this system, including shipping, comes out to be about $998, which is just under the $1,000 budget. An important thing that I learned during the process of creating PC builds is that you always need to do your research. The two sites that definitely helped me the most are PCPartPicker.com and Reddit. In PC Part Picker, you can enter in all the parts in your PC. It tells you their prices, their estimated wattage, and if all the parts are compatible with each other. It also gives you some extra compatibility notes at the bottom of the page. On Reddit, I'd recommend copying your parts list from PC Part Picker and posting it on the PC Build Help and PC Master Race subreddits. There are thousands of people on both of these subreddits that can help you refine and revise your build so you can have the best PC for your budget. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope it helped you at least somewhat decide which parts to use in your budget PC. I will also put links to the two websites and all the parts in the description so you can access them easier.